This week in life insurance, we're going to do things a little bit differently. Rather than provide insight into what we're hearing going on in the world of life insurance, we wanted to use this video, which is taking place during Pride Month, to talk about how folks in the life insurance industry can work with LGBTQ clients. First up, it's important that you provide a safe space for these clients. There was a recent survey that found that 1 in 3 members of the LGBTQ community have experienced some form of discrimination over the last year. And when you look at transgender members of the community, that number goes up to 3 to 5. So what happens then is over half the respondents to the survey said they have withhold some part of their personal life when in public spaces, be it at work or when dealing with financial advisors. Now, since you're dealing with the most intimate parts of people's lives, their finances, their deaths, their families, it's really important that they're comfortable with you and that they share everything. As queer people, we're used to navigating the straight world, and we become very attuned to small biases or discomfort and will modulate our behavior accordingly. You want to make sure that nothing like that happens, because if your client isn't providing their true self to you, you're not going to be able to do the best job in terms of coming up with a plan for them. And that's neither good for you nor for them. So a couple of things to keep in mind. One, you don't want to engage in stereotypes. The queer community are not monoliths. Each of us are different. Each of us have our own set of unique needs and concerns and wants. So make sure you're coming in with a fresh slate to each client. Having said that, it is okay to acknowledge when working with an LGBTQ client that their needs and their process is likely going to be different than their straight counterparts. That is totally fine. And even before you meet with these clients, take a look at your marketing. Is it inclusive? Are there examples of LGBTQ couples on your website and your marketing materials? This is an important cue to members of the gay community that you are welcoming, accepting, and will be a safe space for them to share their hopes, their dreams, and their wants. Now, number 2, when doing any kind of planning, you're generally talking about major life milestones. And it's important to acknowledge that this is going to look different in a LGBTQ scenario than a straight scenario. Yes, we do have now marriage equality, and that's fantastic, but that's still a relatively new development. So generationally, you're going to find that older members of the community might have very different views towards marriage and child rearing than younger members, because for them, it wasn't a possibility. It was even potentially illegal. So that's something to keep in mind. Also, these events are going to look different for us in the community. If we want to have children, that's a very different process than a straight couple. And that's very different, that's relevant to you, because it's going to matter in terms of timing, in terms of finances. Surrogacy or adoption could cost anywhere from $100,000 to $200,000. This also means that a lot of LGBTQ couples will have children later in life, which again is relevant to their planning. So make sure you approach these milestones with sensitivity and understanding as to how they can be different. Which takes us to the third part. Educate yourself. It's not up to me as a gay man to educate you as to the concerns that I might have coming in to use your services. So make sure you're aware of the various issues that might come up when dealing with an LGBTQ client. And on the flip side of it, when dealing with someone who's HIV positive, somebody who's transgender, someone who's non-binary, this is going to actually affect the life insurance buying process. So you need to make sure you know your stuff, that you know how this process is going to work, and that you can explain it to their client so that they're comfortable with you, that you know what you're talking about, and will help them navigate what can be a tough and maybe even a little disheartening of a process. So that's all. We hope that everybody has a great Pride Month. And if you have any questions on how you might be able to work with members of the LGBTQ community, reach out to us. We hope you have a great one. We'll see you next week.